Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Jay and welcome to the Shiplife. So real quick, before we dive into today's video, because we do have a lot to unpack, I do want to apologize. I was trying my best to put out a video yesterday. However, as most of you know, I was in Mexico. I had a breakdance competition, which, by the way, my group won first place, which I'm excited about. My first international competition that I won. Some of the best breakdancers literally in all the world were there. It's crazy. I'll put some clips up at the end of the video in the event that you guys want to see it. I also had to go get a root canal yesterday before my flight. It was hectic and it was literally impossible for me to do a video. But either way, guys, I will be doing a live stream today at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, just talking about the experience over in Mexico, because I know a lot of you had questions about the root canal that I got done and me going back over there and what happened over in Mexico. I had police. I've never been stopped and searched so many times in my life. I got video footage and everything. But either way, guys, so for today's cruise news, we do have to talk about a couple things. We have a few travel associations and groups that are coming out and asking the Biden administration to kind of ease some of the restrictions when it comes to testing in order to return to the United States. They're talking about the fully vaccinated people, of course. I'll explain in the video. We also have the capital of the United States, Washington, D.C., that will be easing restrictions between today and the end of the month, February 28th. And I think this is a big deal for cruising, and I'll explain in the video. Then finally, we have an update from Carnival as they have announced the next phase for their entire fleet as far as deployment, which does include potentially sailings over to Alaska. We all know that's going to happen, but the potentially, I mean for Australia. Either way, guys, let's go ahead and get into it. So sailing into this first topic, there are two large travel groups or associations that I want to mention. The first one is known as ASTA or ASTA. It is the American Society of Travel Agents, and the other one is IATA or ITA. See, I'm not exactly sure how these acronyms go, but it is the International Air Transport Association. What they are doing is petitioning and calling on the Biden administration to ease some of the testing requirements and travel restrictions for vaccinated people that just simply want to travel. Basically, as of right now, if you guys haven't traveled, or if you have, you know, you have to produce a negative COVID test within 24 hours of you traveling into the United States, which for a lot of people can become a hassle. Now, I will say I am shocked because it's kind of confusing as far as what exactly is the type of test that you need. This whole time, especially when I've traveled in 2021, you needed to produce a PCR test. Now you can only, you can produce an antigen test, which is a lot cheaper and quicker than obviously a PCR test. But either way, what's happening is that these associations are coming around and saying that this is extremely stressful and complicated for a lot of these travelers, and it's causing a lot of people to flat out not want to travel. There are two parts to this. The first one being that it's really not that hard to get a test in a lot of locations these days. Some places do have shortages. However, you go to some places like over in the Caribbean, for example, there is a limited time and day that you can get testing done. Some places are closed on Sundays, which causes a headache. It may not be so much the pricing unless people are getting PCR tests. Either way, it is an extra and unnecessary expense for a lot of people, which causes them not to travel. But a big problem that people see and they don't want to have to face is either testing positive or dealing with a false positive and being stuck with a healthcare system that isn't within the United States, that they then have to quarantine from anywhere between 5 to 10 days, get tested again, miss their flights, and have to deal with a bunch of problems. It's just something that a lot of people simply do not want to do. Now, given, I'll be honest with you guys, we already know that millions of people, millions of Americans are already traveling. Trust me, I was just in Mexico. It was absolutely packed. It was insane over there. However, there are still millions and millions more that are kind of avoiding traveling and putting it on the back burner because they don't want to deal with everything going on with of course, the COVID protocols and being the pandemic and all the other issues that could potentially arise just because of the era and the time that we are unfortunately in. You know something, I just realized how hard it is to do this video right now. I apologize, guys. Like I said, I got a root canal yesterday. Thankfully, no pain. However, it's still a little swollen, a little tender over in this area, so it's hard to get the speech out and the words out that I need to, but I am trying my best. I appreciate every single one of you. But when it comes to this petition that has been put out by the travel advisories and groups and associations toward the Biden administration, they've also reached out to the CDC. They've got nothing but crickets so far. Now, I have mentioned before, there is a State of the Union address coming up on March 1st, in which a lot of people believe that Biden's going to come out and just do like a blanket easing of restrictions, which would obviously affect the cruising industry to some degree, maybe not immediately, but probably weeks later, which I think, fingers crossed, we're all hoping that some things get eased, like the testing requirements, because as somebody that got tested yesterday, I'm always on edge thinking I'm going to potentially test positive and be stuck in Mexico or wherever it is that I'm at. But either way, guys, we'll see what happens. Let me know your comments in the comment section below. Now, moving on, Washington, D.C. will be dropping some of their COVID restrictions between now and the end of the month. I always say, and I tell you guys, I believe that in order to see what's going on within cruising, we got to look outward and see what's going on objectively with other parts of the world and even what's going on right here in the United United States. So as of today, February 15th, they have come out and announced over in Washington, D.C., you will not have to show proof of vaccination in certain areas. There's a caveat, which I'll explain in a minute. And they also say at the end of the month, on February 28th, they will be getting rid of the masking policies. Now, this includes places like, of course, your bars, your restaurants, your gyms, all your public areas. However, over in like the schools and government buildings, all this stuff will still be required. Now, when it comes to everywhere else, the regular places, again, bars, restaurants, stuff of that nature, parks, well, that'll be up to the owners of that property. They can still implement the vaccines, mandates, and everything else if they want to, because they are obviously a private business. However, what does this have to do with cruising? I do believe that all of this could potentially cause a snowball effect, being that this is, of course, the capital that is coming out and easing restrictions. We've seen, of course, cruise lines like NCL and Royal Caribbean have come out and eased restrictions. I don't know what's going on with Carnival. They've somewhat tightened them a little bit. However, they've gotten rid of testing if you are have had COVID and you can show proof of it. It's a lot going on right now. However, I do believe that if this happens over in DC, which it is, we're going to continue to see some sort of rollback with the entire cruise ship industry. Now, we all know that it will not be immediate. Obviously, when something happens, snowball effect, meaning it's going to take a little time. It could be a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. But if this continues as far as the scaling back of COVID restrictions over in strongholds like Washington, DC, then it will have a ripple effect in a positive way for the entire cruise ship industry. So long as, of course, the case numbers, continue to decline and we don't see some other crazy variant that puts us back into, crazy restrictions. Either way, we'll see. I just think it's some great news overall to see that DC has finally come out and eased restrictions because, like I said, it does have an effect everywhere else. Now, finally, for our last topic for today's video, of course, as you guys are smashing that like button if you're enjoying the video and subscribing, that way you can stay updated whenever I post cruise news and every other cool video that I post outside of the cruise news, because as most of you know, my videos are epic, I think. Anyway, guys, we got to talk about an update from Carnival. They have announced their next phase as far as their redeployment of ships here in 2022. So we have ships like the Carnival Elation, the Carnival Spirit, the Carnival Splendor, Carnival Freedom. They are all redeploying to different places. Some are going over to Alaska, some are going over to Australia. Fingers crossed that actually happens, because we all know that there has been this crazy halt. Cruises have not left Australia since March of 2020 with paying passengers, which is absolutely insane to think about. Now, I do believe we might start to see some light at the end of the tunnel for Australia. I know there's a lot of groups that are now protesting and they're really pushing the government over there to allow cruising to happen. But either way, as far as Carnival goes, they have announced previously that they expect to have their entire fleet in operation by May, which is right at the start of the Alaska cruising season. And as far as summer, I do believe that things overall for the entire cruise ship industry as a whole are looking pretty good. We could potentially be seeing somewhat normal kind of cruising settings and experiences by summertime. And that's if we continue down this trajectory that we're going down right now. However, who's to say what exactly is going to happen? But things do look good overall. As far as Carnival goes, they've been in full swing. Things have been going pretty well for them. Like I said, I do think it's strange with their restrictions. I believe that originally that they would have probably just kind of followed Royal Caribbean and NCL as far as what they're doing with the masking. But for them to, first of all, get technically rid of testing, at least for people that have tested positive for COVID, recovered, and have proof of and documentation for it, I believe that maybe they could go the other way and just get rid of the testing altogether, which I know it's something that a lot of people are looking forward to. But there are people that are obviously 50-50, especially being that we are still in the middle of the pandemic. Some people want the masking to go away. Some people don't mind the mask. Meanwhile, I see other people that say, well, forget the masking. I'll do the masking. Why don't we just get rid of the COVID testing? Because we already know that everybody that is sailing is completely vaccinated. So either way, you guys, this is a conversation that we could talk about till the end of time. So maybe we'll talk about it in the live stream tonight. But either way, guys, I am going to wrap this video up. Actually, I take my medicine for my root canal, and I got to go back to Mexico next week, which I'm excited about, actually. Anyway, guys, live stream today at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I hope to see all of you there. Also, comment on this video, hit the like button, share, subscribe. All of it goes a very long way in support of my channel. I'll see you all at 6 p.m. But until then, you guys, take it easy.
Detail, baby, detail.